breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty. Mornings on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
.107 FM 710 KEEL. Mike and McCarty. I'm looking at this map on the National Weather Service site in South Louisiana, Aaron. It's all red.
It's not pretty.
It does not look good. Ryan Knapp with the National Weather Service, meteorologist. Ryan, what's the latest on Francine? And have we started the rain and the weather in South Louisiana?
Morning, you guys. Thanks for having me. I feel like we just did this not too long ago with Beryl. But, the latest on Francine, the storm continues to spin just to the southeast of Texas this morning. It's been battling a lot of dry air. So, overall, the storm hasn't really improved structurally from really what we saw yesterday. That being said, though, the forecast is still expecting this to become a hurricane as we move later on into today. And then with a landfall along South Louisiana as we move towards around the mid to late afternoon hours for Wednesday.
Cat 1, Cat 2, do we know yet?
Yeah, so right now with the present forecast, it is expected to become a Category 2 prior to landfall. But obviously, still plenty of time for possible changes in terms of whether that is intensity increases or decrease. What I will say is there is a lot of shear in the way of this thing as it gets closer to the Louisiana coast, which can ultimately, destroy some of these, systems. So that is one thing, I guess, that is maybe in favor of this becoming stronger, but we will have to watch and wait and see. It still has about 24 hours before it gets there.
Ryan, the last projections, it was kind of moving east. They expected more of a Louisiana landfall. Is that still the projections?
Yeah, so based on the current forecast from the National Hurricane Center, still expecting a landfall somewhere along the Louisiana coastline. Confidence in that has definitely increased over the last couple days, whereas before, we were looking at the Texas-Louisiana border. Now it's looking more and more likely that we're going to see a landfall along the Louisiana coastline.
Rainfall amounts. We all know New Orleans is struggling already from last week. What kind of rain is going to be dumped on South Louisiana?
Yeah, with systems like this, you can get rainfall amounts anywhere from pretty much 4 to 8 inches, especially that's what at least being called for closer to the coast, at least locally here, for parts of the Arklatex calling anywhere for, 3 to 4 inches closer to, say, LaSalle Parish near Gina, whereas, like, say, for instance, the Shreveport Bossier Metro, maybe only around a half an inch to an inch. Definitely the heavier rainfall threat is going to be more along the coastline of coastal Louisiana up into portions of Mississippi.
Is this more likely storm surge damage rather than wind damage?
You can see both impacts, especially with a storm like this making landfall here across portions of Louisiana, seeing the storm surge as well as, the coastal wind impacts as well. So I think both will be, relatively equal. But when it comes to the number one killer, when it comes to landfalling tropical systems, it's going to be the water. And that's not just flooding, that is storm surge. So, taking the advice of local officials when they tell you to evacuate if you live along the coast, definitely listening to those local officials. Because, as I mentioned, the number one killer when it comes to landfalling tropical cyclones is the water, and that's ultimately from the storm surge.
Meteorologist Ryan Knapp with the National Weather Service. Ryan, based on your current models, what can we expect in Shreveport Bossier, and when can we expect it?
Yeah, so you can start to see maybe some rain showers closer to the metro today. A lot of that is just because there's still a lot of energy out ahead of Francine this morning that may support some showers and thunderstorms here today. But in terms of some breezy, gusty conditions, that will likely start to really materialize as we move into early Wednesday morning and through the afternoon. Really looking at more just consistent, rain showers moving through the area, some breezy, gusty conditions. But when it comes to to the overall primary impact, that looks to be well removed from the Shreveport-Bossier metro area and a little bit more towards, say, Monroe and areas east towards the Louisiana-Mississippi border.
What cities along the coast are you most concerned about? I know it goes all the way over to New Orleans, but we're looking at, Lafayette, the Cameron parishes, those folks right along the coastline are going to get a direct hit, huh?
Yeah, I mean, these areas are very familiar. I mean, if we look back to recent seasons, as recent as 2019, 2020, very familiar with landfalling, tropical systems across the Louisiana coast. In terms of a, landfall point right now, like you mentioned, Lafayette east to, say, Morgan City. And this system's going to continue to move north. So, heavy rainfall threat, maybe even some tornado threat there for, say, Baton Rouge, and even further north into southern Mississippi as well.
And how long will the rainfall stay in South Louisiana? Is this a fast-moving storm? Is it going to move out pretty quickly?
That is going to be one of the benefits of this system compared to maybe a slower moving system, is that the forward speed of the storm is really expected to pick up as it gets closer to landfall, just because it starts to interact a little bit more with what's called an upper level jet working with it to pull the storm further north. So the forward motion, it won't allow for this thing to really sit over the coast for too long. So that will, decrease the amount of rain over a short period of time, but also decrease the amount of time that these coastal communities have to, bear the storm surge or bear the wind threat as well. So this, the system will start to pick up a little bit of speed, especially as it starts to move inland, before ultimately dissipating as it gets, say, across parts of northwest Mississippi up towards even western Tennessee and northeastern Arkansas.
I'm looking at the radar on the National Weather Service. It looks to be in the Gulf still, and then moving toward mostly eastern portion of the state of Louisiana. Ryan, is there anything behind this system that you're also watching?
Not at the present moment. This has kind of taken the big feature of all the attention right now, especially anytime any system gets in the Gulf, it gets a lot of attention just because of the proximity to land that surrounds anything that does get into the Gulf. It has to go somewhere, and ultimately it's going to find an area of land to come across. It just depends who's going to be in front of it. But for right now, not looking at anything behind it, this is kind of the main feature for right now, so it definitely has all the eyes and attention on it.
Gotcha.
Ryan Knapp with the National Weather Service. We thank you for your input, and we'll stay in touch.
Of course. Always great talking to you guys.
You too, sir. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
Let's get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
My daughter is so funny. My daughter is so funny. She was here last weekend, and she went home on Sunday.
Okay.
And I was talking to her. We were sitting out in the backyard yesterday afternoon, and she said, "God, I forgot to bring your birthday present."
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Oh, well, you got it already." I said, "Micah, I'm 43 years old. You don't have to buy me birthday presents
Yeah,
anymore."
exactly. She's 2. Okay.
And right. And so so she goes, "No, Dad, you're gonna love it." She goes, "I loved it so much. I got one for me too."
Oh, wow. That's funny.
I said, "Okay, fine." Well, then later she said, no, this was during the weekend. She said that, okay, because yesterday she goes, "Dad, you got to come to Dallas this weekend." And I said, "Well, I can't. I've got 2 remotes that I'm doing on Saturday. I'm going to be at the Cody Johnson concert."
Oh, cool.
Out before that, and that's until 6:00.
Yeah.
And I've got one before that during the day, and I said, I can't. I'm working. She goes, "Well, you're just going to have to come after."
Yeah.
I was like, "What? Are you okay?"
She needed to put your birthday gift in your truck to bring it home. It's big. That's what it was, right?
Yeah. So she said, "I got us tickets to the Saints-Cowboys game."
Wow.
Now, she works for Jerry Jones, okay?
Oh, man. You probably got some good ones.
But she bought these. She
Okay.
didn't get these freebies from
They're not
her
in the
work.
suite
She
or anything?
actually bought these.
She might have you in the suite and she's
No,
surprising you.
we're not. Because I've got that. She sent me my ticket
Okay.
via electronically.
Wow. Now, is she like you, a diehard Saints fan?
Oh, yes.
So she's not she works for Jerry Jones and doesn't like the Cowboys? I'm going to call him.
I won't. She's a Saints fan.
First.
Yeah.
But she likes the Cowboys, too. She's like me.
So Aaron, I kind of got embarrassed. I'm in my closet going, okay, what am I wearing today?
Saints jersey.
What
Vilma.
Yeah.
That's a little bit old, yeah.
Yeah. I've got a Deuce McAllister.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I have a Dalton Hilliard jersry. That's how far back. Oh, yeah.
Now, are you going to get a new one?
I can't get into it anymore.
You need to go get a Derek Carr one.
I've got Drew Brees. So
Don't
now
wear that.
I'm pulling these out of the closet going, what am I going to wear?
Oh, man.
I found a Jimmy Graham jersey.
Wow.
That I forgot about.
Golly, you can wear one every quarter. You can change.
Game day with the sewn on letters. Jimmy Graham, the collar. Yeah.
Ooh, you're going to have
wear a black one. My Vilma one is a white one. This is white.
Okay.
But the other ones are, and I sent a picture to Mike. I said, I can't decide who to wear. And she goes, well, the white looks too much like Cowboys.
Yeah.
Especially like from a distance. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to wear black.
Okay.
And it's between Breeze or Graham. I think I'm going to go with Graham, though.
Okay.
Because it's got its actual game jersey.
Oh, man.
So I'll be repping.
Maybe your wife got you a new jersey for your birthday and she's going to give it to you before you leave.
No.
Didn't happen?
No.
Okay. Maybe so.
And
you never know.
Right. No. Do you know something I don't know?
No, I have no clue. Mike needs a new Saints jersey for his
she's
birthday.
going to go, that's the last thing that I need, especially after last night. I'm pulling these jerseys out of the closet.
Oh, wow. That's going to be exciting.
Remember.
Now, how are you going to feel if we lose?
Well, you know what?
It's going to be a hostile environment.
Last Saints-Cowboys game, my best friend and I drove to New Orleans. Drew Brees. It was phenomenal years ago. This is years ago. And we killed them. We killed them. And the Cowboys fans were all obnoxious before the game, and they were all...
Not that we're not.
Some of us aren't, because we've been eating humble pie for so many years as Saints fans.
But they got the best quarterback in the league, so you got to worry about that.
Drew Brees is at the Cowboys now?
Ouch. Houghton loves him. Hush.
I know, and I like Dak, and Dak got his deal.
Yes, he did. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. I'm excited for
we're just, you know what? I'm just excited to be there. We're going to Uber. We're going to get there early,
Just chill.
And I'm not going to try to bust out as soon as we're going to hang out. We're going to just enjoy the whole experience.
That's going to be a blast.
So, yeah.
I just hope we win. I really do.
Well, but I'm not going to be obnoxious about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially sitting in the middle of AT&T Stadium.
Yeah, not a good spot.
No, I don't think they'll let me carry in there either.
Tell Jerry I said hi, by the way.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Jerry's impressed me. He's been behind the scenes. He's a very nice guy.
Well, that's cool.
I know.
Dumb deal for Dak. A dumb deal he made with Dak, but that's his money.
Bad. I don't get that. He's not. No, never mind. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna be nice. Scott Hughes spoke with us yesterday. The debate is tonight. Mm-hmm. Holy mackerel!
Yep, it's time. 8:00. You'll hear it here on KEEL.
Are you making sausage balls?
I think I am. I have the stuff. I think I'm going to make them.
I may do some popcorn, but it's not starting until 8:00.
8:00. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a good nap.
Hear it live right here on KEEL. If you're not in front of a television, tune in. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Mike and McCarty.
Now more breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Okay, so when do those splash pads open back up? Is that what they're called? Splash pads? Those fountain?
Yeah, that or spray
down
ground.
On the riverfront.
Mm-hmm. That Cedric
With that
Glover
big
banned me
silver ball
from.
thing? What is that, by the way?
I don't know what that is. But they've got those beautiful rose decorations that are
that
pretty
light
at
up.
night.
I know.
That's
those
really
are cool.
Pretty. They're redoing the spray ground. Cost of nearly $1.4 million. Contract's been awarded. I just checked on that yesterday. And it takes 120 days from once the equipment arrives. And that's the problem. There's a back order of getting the proper equipment.
So we're not going to be able to, you won't be able to come down there. Go down there and enjoy it this year.
Summer.
120 days.
Yeah, summer of next year.
It's going to be cold.
Yeah, so it looks like summertime it'll be back up and going. And it's going to be beautiful. And they made it because it flooded. I think it was flooded 3 times and broke. Flooded, fixed, and now they didn't fix it.
But now they have like a new type pump or something?
New type pumps that are not going to be underground, for one. And they're apparently going to be in a setting where they're not going to be able to get flooded.
Susceptible to flooding.
There you go. Thank you. Because another problem is when we do flood, that whole area gets sand covering it. And so this is going to protect it from all that, supposedly. So it's exciting. Supposedly, yeah. So I'm excited about it. It's going to be back on, and that's a big attraction.
And when you go in, are you going to pee in it?
No,
again?
There's a bathroom down there now, finally. So you can go to the bathroom.
Well, yeah, but nobody will know.
I'm not going to pee in the spray ground. I just got unbanned. Please.
Yes, you are. Presidential debate tonight, 8 o'clock. You can hear it live on KEEL. Scott Hughes spoke with us yesterday about what to expect. What is he looking for? We'll hear that next. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Back with McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Ruben, can you just play back my intro that I did a minute ago for Scott?
We're going to carry the presidential debate, by the way, tomorrow night, brought to you by Jimmy Garge. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate you sponsoring it.
Yeah, live. If you can't get to a television, turn on your radio or the KEEL News app.
Absolutely. 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Kamala Harris, Donald Trump. It's a biggie. It's going to probably be their only debate. What do you think? Only debate, probably?
Oh, I am. Yeah, I think so.
Scott Hughes is joining us on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline. Scott, first and only between these two, you think?
Good morning. Yes, I do think this will be the one and only debate that we see between the presidential candidates. I think we will likely see a debate between the vice presidential candidates, and those may be the only two.
Obviously, Donald Trump had huge success in his debate with Joe Biden. He was very well coached, and he listened to his coaching. He appeared presidential. He seemed to stay on topic. He seemed to stay with the issues. Do you think he'll do the same with this debate?
Well, I think if you're a fan of the former president, you hope that he does those things. I'm not really sure he did all those things the last debate as much as Joe Biden just imploded. I think it was interesting. I watched the first debate, and what I saw was Donald Trump as curious as the rest of us as to why Joe Biden wasn't even responding in many cases. But I do think you're correct, Mike. I think you summed up, if I were on the vice president, or the former president's side, that's exactly what he needs to do. He needs to stand there and look presidential. He needs to not get upset. He needs to not air grievances, and he needs to try to stay on what we say are the policy issues. All the polling shows that he is ahead in what's the key major issues, primarily inflation and security. That's where he wins. When he gets off those topics, he tends to run into trouble.
Scott, what's interesting to me also is I saw a report. Most people aren't like, us and the listeners of this program. They have no clue. They are not aware of Kamala's far, far left radical policies.
Well, and I think starting out by saying far, far left radical policies is unfair. I think as a journalist, as moderators, as people watching a debate, I think we need to see what she says. I think that she has taken some positions in the past. That's fair. But it would be just as likely to say he is a victim of far, far right policies. The 2025, which I think if you're not familiar with Project 2025, she'll try to hang that on him. They're each going to try to position the other exactly as you just said, Mike. She's going to try to say he's far, far right. He's a fascist. You should be scared. He's going to try to say she is a far left San Francisco liberal. You should be scared. They're each trying to scare people about the other person. And I think what's interesting is both candidates, actually, if you listen to what they're saying, both are moderating towards the middle. Both are trying to find common ground. Even former President Trump is trying to move toward the middle on some of his positions, such as abortion, tax policy, some of these things. He's trying to move to the middle because they both know what needs to happen. They both need to get out of their base. They have their base. She has the left, he has the right. They're both trying to find those people in the middle. And at this point, it may only be about 10% of Americans who are undecided. And that's what they're fighting over, those votes in the middle. They're trying to define each other. He has been unsuccessful so far of defining her. Even though he's called her a far left liberal, it's not really sticking. And she has really no one's really been able to define Trump beyond where he is.
But Scott, even you have to admit, you look at her career, and over her career, she supports the Green New Deal. She supports open borders. She supports soft on crime policies. And now, all of a sudden, she wants to build the wall, and she wants to be tough on crime, and now she wants to fund the police. She's flipped on absolutely every policy that she's previously supported. So how can you believe anything she says?
Well, I think that's a dangerous territory to get into, Mike. I didn't come here to defend one candidate or the other, but that's really a talking point from the Trump campaign. I'm not going to go through her campaign. I think that's the job of each candidate on Tuesday night, to define the other candidate and to call them out. If they say something, then they should be called out for it. I think that both candidates are going to be very cautious in what they say, because it's going to really be a cross-examination. The interesting part will be the mics will be turned off. So when you're speaking, you can't interrupt the other speaker. So that means when you do have the live mic, not only will you have to answer the question, but you'll be having to do your own fact-checking. And I think both of them will want to be fact-checking the other side. And that's something that we're going to be watching for, because they're each trying to frame the other candidate. And I think what you said is exactly how he wants to frame her. And she's going to frame him in a way that she's been trying to frame him as well. And I think from a debate standpoint, that's what we're watching. Who comes out having framed the other candidate the most effectively, particularly as it affects any undecideds who are left. I think one of the challenges that the former president has is that he is well known. He's done this now for 8 to 10 years, depending on the timeline you want to look at. And most folks have an opinion of him, whether it's positive or negative. She still has room to grow. Polls are showing there's still about 20% of people, 28% of people, the latest poll I just saw, who still want more information on her. Interestingly, very few people want more information on Donald Trump. They know what he is in their minds. It's her that is still sort of a blank page, and that's where they're both going to try to define her. She wants to define herself. Mm-hmm. He wants to define her.
What are the issues, Scott Hughes, that you specifically want to see them answer? I want to hear tax policy, economy, things that impact me and my family's budget. What are some things that you're watching for?
I think it's going to be interesting. I think tax policy is one of them. So far, they've both been throwing out sound bites, and I'm not going to get into the sound bites or defend the sound bites. We'll watch Tuesday for that. But they've both been throwing out sound bites of tax policy, but no one's been discussing what the impact of those policies are, whether that is cutting taxes and putting in tariffs. Those have financial impacts, and those need to be explained, because good sound bites sound nice until you realize what they actually do. I think the other thing we're looking at is and Mike got into a good area, what is her position on these things? Because both have flopped policies. We could go up and down the board on policies that they have changed. And so where are they today? What will they commit to? And I think that's really what we're watching for is how they define themselves in these critical issues. And I think in the end, you're going to see this come back around to really two issues. One's going to be security. Who do you feel safer with? And one's going to be the economy, because that's what the public says. Regardless of all the other issues, the public keeps coming back to pocketbook issues. Is my family safe? Is my family secure financially?
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Thank you, Scott.
Anytime.
Mm-hmm. We'll look forward to it
Tuesday night.
Yes.
Thank you, Scott. We appreciate your input. 1017. By the way, coming up on Thursday, after the debate, we're going to have
Wednesday.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It's tomorrow.
You bet.
The debate will be tomorrow, and on Wednesday, we're going to have Cedric Glover in studio, along with Louis R. Avalone from American Ground Radio.
8 o'clock hour, absolutely.
And we'll hash out who did what, who came out on top.
You bet.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
Get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
I couldn't sleep last night. I was...
Indigestion?
Pondering. No. I was wondering. I almost called you.
Uh-oh.
Is Bo in his bed?
That is so funny you mentioned that, because this morning I come out to do my, get my breakfast and get everything ready for, and let him out. And he's laying on one of my leather sofas. And
he's not even in his
he had been in it.
Dog bed.
He'd been in it earlier in the day. And he spent some time in it, but he chewed up a little more. And I've got to find a cover to go over it. It's way too big for any kind of pillowcase I have.
Okay, you need to do a leather cover.
Some sort of leather cover. I'm going to have to order something to go over it. But, everybody has told me it's an unfamiliar scent. He's not comfortable with that, and he wanted to put his stamp of approval on it. And his stamp of approval was to shred his new orthopedic bed.
Better than how a dog normally marks their territory.
Yeah, you got a point about that. Absolutely. So last night he slept on the leather, and I have two. After my children moved out, and I was empty nest, I've always wanted a white leather sofa, or an off-white leather sofa.
Oh, remember, you can't say empty nest anymore.
Oh, that's right.
That's offensive.
Yeah, okay. Once I was living alone and no children and no dog at that
living
point.
Alone. That sounds so much better, doesn't it, than empty nest?
Sounds sexy, doesn't it?
And now I'm by myself living alone.
I got an off-white leather sofa, full leather, and it was when Dillard's was closing, their furniture department. And so I got two beautiful, full leather sofas. I always want, you can't have those when you have children. They destroy them. And so I thought, well, good. I got my off-white leather, and then I got a brown one. He's allowed on the brown one. He's not allowed to touch the white one. And so he's laying on the brown leather sofa. If I ever catch him on the off-white leather sofa, that's the day I bring him to Ruben's house. And Lucy has a new boyfriend.
He's on that sofa right now.
Probably.
He's checking his watch, going, she's not home. I got a couple hours.
I have a camera in that room that I can talk to him on. I can dial up that camera and go, get off that couch, boy. But yeah, Lucy would be a real good girlfriend for Bo, and that's where he would go. He'd become Lucy's man.
Good Lord.
They would make pretty babies.
Yeah.
If she wasn't fixed.
Oh, yeah. You got a point.
Yeah.
Lucy, I'm home.
Anyway, oh, Lord. The weather, we're watching Francine.
Yes.
That's coming up after 7. We're going to talk to our buddy, right?
Richard Llewellyn with the Weather Channel. Coming up, Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, and on the free KEEL app.
See.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Mike and McCarty on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline. From the Weather Channel, meteorologist Richard Llewellyn joining us. Richard, good morning. Or have you been busy this morning?
Not so far yet. I think we're about 36 hours away from landfall with Francine. So, things are going to really start to ramp up here as the day marches on, and especially tomorrow as we get closer to the landfall event.
Looks like Louisiana is square in the bullseye, right?
It sure is, and looks like this is going to be another landfall for south central Louisiana. Looks like we're looking at a landfall somewhere between Pecan Island and Intercoastal City late tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night. And there could be some slight shifts in the track, most likely eastward, and we have seen a couple of changes with some of the hurricane warnings down along the Louisiana coast, now shifted a little further east to go from Morgan City on over to Grand Isle. So right now, most of the Louisiana coast under a hurricane warning from Sabine Pass over to Grand Isle. Metro New Orleans is now under a tropical storm warning, and looks like Lake Pontchartrain and areas up to the Pearl River is now on a tropical storm warning. So we have seen some expansion of the warnings a little bit further eastward here with the latest advisory that just came out at 7 this morning.
Richard, I'm looking at the Shreveport forecast. We don't look like we're going to get much effect of this at all. According to the Weather Channel website, looks like we're going to get rain tomorrow. And then after that, we look like we're clear sailing.
Yeah, we've dodged a bullet with this system in regards to impacts for us here in northwest Louisiana. It looks like you're going to have to get basically east of an Alexandria to El Dorado line to really see any type of significant impacts out of the system, which will basically be mainly rain, some strong gusty winds. For us here in Shreveport, it looks like we might get an inch of rain if we're fortunate out of the system, but it looks like the system's going to basically make its way, into south central Louisiana, get on up into portions of Mississippi there around Natchez, and then just kind of basically move on up the Mississippi River and go all the way up toward Memphis and eventually up into eastern Kentucky as we move on through the next few days. So, we're on the drier side of the system, so the impacts won't be as great for us. But, for the eastern part of the state, it will be a different story.
I almost feel guilty. We've got a beautiful weekend in front of us on Friday, nothing but sunshine. And then, but as I look into the extended forecast, Richard, it looks like almost the rest of September is going to be dry again. Not much rain projected at all.
Yeah, this is going to help some folks in regards to the drought that much of the Mid-South has been dealing with here as of late. Especially for places in the eastern Louisiana up into the Mississippi Delta and working further northward. But, once we get past this system, there's really nothing that really shows any signs that, we're going to see much in regards to any rain chances. There may be a stray shower or storm in here on Sunday, but after that, it looks like we are just warm and dry through the rest of the month of September, and we keep temperatures mostly in the 90s. As we move on here through the rest of the month, and overnight lows in the 60s and 70s. So, there's really not much hope once we get this hurricane out of the way, or this tropical storm eventually becoming a hurricane out of the way. So, we're hoping we get a little bit more rain out of this, but we really don't want to see any of the significant impacts either.
Richard, I grew up in South Louisiana, and a Category 2 hurricane really was, we kind of thumbed our nose at it. But this one could have some storm surge. It could have some drenching rains. It could cause some serious flooding, right?
Yeah, it definitely looks that way. I think the big concern for south central and southeastern Louisiana is going to be with surge. There could be up to 10 feet of surge, especially from Vermilion Bay on over to about Grand Isle, and then about 4 to 7 feet of surge from Grand Isle up to the mouth of the Mississippi River. So surge is definitely going to be a concern, especially in those down in the bayous of southern Louisiana for sure. And the rainfall amounts are going to be greater, especially as you get on down into South Louisiana, especially for areas from Baton Rouge and Hammond on over toward New Orleans, Houma, and down through Cajun country. It looks like there will be 4 to 8 inches of rain, isolated rainfall amounts of up to 12 inches. I think the good news for south central and southeastern Louisiana is that this system is going to quickly start to accelerate further northward. So the impacts are only going to stick around for a day or two, and then the cleanup will begin on Thursday, as a lot of the energy with this system is going to quickly push on up, eventually getting up toward Vicksburg and Memphis. So a lot of the heavier rains will pull away from the coast. But, as we look at radar right now, we're starting to see some of those outer bands from the storm getting closer and closer to the Louisiana coast. They will begin to feel some of the initial impacts along the coast in Louisiana in just a couple of hours. So we will begin to see some of the fringe effects from Francine begin to impact the Louisiana coast just in the next couple of hours.
All right, Richard, thank you so much. We know you'll stay on top of it, and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you. We'll definitely keep an eye on things over the next couple of days.
Richard Llewellyn with the Weather Channel, Mike and McCarty. Coming up, grocery prices. Are they actually affecting you? Are you not buying things? We're going to talk about that right after the break. 101.7 FM, 710keel.com.
Now more breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
You made an interesting point. I don't know if you even remember this. We were talking off mic yesterday. And you said, because you don't go into, this just kills me, you don't go into the grocery store.
Well, I save money doing it that way, to be honest. If I go in the grocery store,
I can see that.
I do impulse buys
because
and
I'll
I buy,
go, oh, look at this.
I need that.
Oh, I want some of these.
And so I order my groceries online, then I go pick them up.
I genuinely try not to go in. If I do go in, I don't have it delivered. When I go in, I try not to go in hungry because
you can't.
It's seriously... I go, oh, Frosted Flake. Oh, yeah.
But I'm watching the carts come out while I'm waiting.
Yeah, you said you were waiting on your groceries.
It used to be carts would come out of the grocery store piled with stuff, full.
Right, full.
The other day when I was waiting, not one person came out with a full cart. Everybody had a third or a half a cart full of groceries. People are cutting back on what they're buying. I know I am, and I make a pretty decent living. I haven't bought beef or steaks in probably a month or two.
Well, when Dina brings them home, it's got that yellow sticker on the package.
Chica from 94.5.
Reduced for quick sale.
Chica,
this is the saddest conversation I've ever heard.
You are a good cook.
Yeah.
What have you cut out of your grocery budget?
I don't cook anymore.
You don't cook at all.
You know, I used to cook all my family. We own restaurants. Yeah.
Right.
I used to cook all the time.
So when you go to the grocery store,
I don't.
You don't go at all.
You're eating out?
Yeah, every meal. Last night I went to Orlando's.
You're rich though, right?
Oh, sure. No. Last night, if I could make half of what you make, I'd be happy. But
so would I.
Exactly.
How are you actually making eating out cheaper?
It's way cheaper. I'll go spend $30 at Orlando's for beef tips and rice, and then I'll get red beans, right, and sausage or whatever, and that's 3-4 meals. That's 3-4 meals.
Yeah,
Whereas, too, if I go to the grocery store and I got to buy every single ingredient to make what I want to make, because I can't cook just chicken with salt, pepper, and rice and broccoli.
Right.
It's just not going to.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this body.
You need tortillas. And
I'm like over here like,
you need
let
sour
me make
cream.
a salsa. Let me make sour cream.
Cheese.
Don't whiten my
the other
dish.
Yesterday, Dina made some beans and we got some deer sausage. My cousin hunts, so it's like fresh deer sausage. I cut up a bunch of deer sausage and put it in the in
a big old pot.
In a big pot.
How many times realistically? Like, tell me the truth. Be honest with me. How many times could you eat that meal without you going, come on?
Well, see, I love. I can finish the pot, not in one sitting, obviously. I mean, over the course of several days.
So you could eat that 4, 5, 6 meals in a row.
Not in a row, but for several days, sure.
I can't do that.
See, I'm the same. 2 meals is about all I'm going to do, and then the rest of it I'm going to toss.
And we both live alone, right? I found that I'm going to go spend $200-$300 at whatever store, and then I'm going to throw it all away. I remember laughing because that freaking bag of spring mix, that same bag of spring mix I buy just to kill it.
Yes.
Like, it's just like buying plants. I already know I'm going to kill them. So why am I buying all this just to... No, really, though.
Yeah.
And then it's like you buy, let's say, steak, right? Like you made the joke about the yellow tag, which I love finding something delicious. And I'm not going to just randomly invite somebody over, hey, come have dinner with me.
Right.
Just, but I don't find any reason... I really don't find any reason for me to grocery shop anymore.
That's your lifestyle. You're single, you're moving all the time, you're out and about.
And here's the crazy part. I spoke with somebody that works in the grocery store business or whatever, and we were talking about an election year and how we've all, I own a entertainment company and how we've all taken a hit. And she's head of marketing, I think, and she said, "Oh, girl, it's not just what you guys do." And she said, we, like, as a whole, they're nationwide. She said, we're down 30%.
Grocery businesses down 30%.
30%.
Wow.
That means they lay people off, essentially.
I don't know if they have, but
Or don't
she said,
hire.
I don't know. She said that they had to, they're going to have to start doing, these different sales, like focusing on, but I have never been more grateful to be a childless woman. And I say childless, I mean no man either, because I've had to raise men as well. But I have been so grateful because I could not afford life.
That's interesting to me. That's, like when I get off work at 5:00 this afternoon, when my wife gets off work, we go home. At the end of the day, we go home. And we're not going out.
Go eat?
We're not, generally not.
You don't go pick something up?
No, we do eat out. We do eat out. But as a general rule, we're homebodies. And I can't tell you the number of times even Dina says, it's so good to get home.
Right.
It's so good to be home.
I'm curious, what have you cut out of your grocery budget? Send us a message on the Shreveport Security Systems message board. I'm curious. I know beef's out of my cart. It hadn't been in my cart in 2 months.
Wait, you're not eating, you're not choosing to eat out instead?
Every now and then I eat out, but I still cook at home.
I'm telling you right now, it's so much cheaper. It is so much cheaper. You going out, stopping by Orlando's, getting a couple plates, right? Yeah. And then just eating off those for,
I don't know if it's because we're older, but if we do eat out, something is coming home. And
definitely.
I mean, I can, like you say, I can get 2, sometimes 3 meals out of something that we get out, or my wife and I will split an entree.
Texas Roadhouse, baby. Load up on those rolls. I'm telling you. And that's why I got all these rolls.
Texas Roadhouse. Dr. Kate Brumley, Superintendent of Education, joining us coming up 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Stories of the day with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Dr. Kate Brumley, Superintendent of Education, joining us coming up just after the break. A plethora of subjects. Some good news for Louisiana. We'll find out next. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
Back Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
On the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline, Superintendent of Education for the state of Louisiana, Dr. Kate Brumley, joining us. Dr. Brumley, good morning.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us. Of course, the big news right now, Tropical Storm Francine making its way to South Louisiana. What are you guys doing? Are you planning on closing schools toward the end of the week?
Yeah, we're certainly on watch at this point, in communication with systems all along the coast and inland to some degree, and are watching those systems make decisions and supporting in any way we can.
We don't have any closed today, though, correct?
Actually, there are some systems closing half day today, and then carrying through at least Thursday. And we'll watch from there. We track systems throughout the state and their closures, and we do know that we do have some closing this afternoon.
Some good news for the state of Louisiana. We just received $70 million to support literacy. 23 states received funding. We got more than any other state. Should that be kind of an insult?
No, I think that's a good question, but no, I don't think so. I think that the reviewers recognize that we're making progress on literacy in our state. We led the country in fourth grade reading growth. Every indicator says we're on the up and up, and we've used our money well, and so there's a desire to continue that commitment to support. But I will say that clearly we've been long challenged educationally. We have a long way to go, but $70 million here is the largest award in the country, and we're going to use it as much as possible to push directly into schools for support.
That's exciting. We did gooder than anybody else.
Kate, how do schools apply for some of this cash?
So polite of him to laugh at that.
Well, I was just thinking you may need some of the grant. You know?
Yeah.
No, we'll have a structured process, and it will be a competitive application, and we'll work with school systems across the state to support them with their plans, and that'll be coming in the very near future. But look, we're excited to be able to have this funding to support some of the work that we're doing and expand some of that work. I just think it's going to be a win for kids.
Will systems that have more failing schools be top priorities for this cash?
Well, I mean, I think that you have seen we have used funding to transform lower performing schools, and I think that will certainly be part of the consideration whenever we're making decisions on utilization. If a school isn't performing to the extent that we would like for them to perform, but we believe that they're building out the infrastructure for success, and that those funds wouldn't be wasted in any particular way, but they would be used in a productive way, that would certainly carry some weight with us.
Dr. Brumley, one of the huge topics right now, of course, just permeating everything is AI. People are worried about jobs being replaced. You just released some guidance on the safe and effective use of AI. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, we just wanted to support educators throughout the state of Louisiana, put something in their hands so that they could have it to better understand the ways in which they could safely use AI if they so made that decision. And we pulled together a number of individuals from across the state, both in the education sector, but in the AI space, in the cybersecurity space, including people from Northwest Louisiana. And they worked for several months developing this AI guidance, and we were happy to release it to schools across the state of Louisiana. And we have more information forthcoming on that. We want to get to a place where we can release information very specific to subject area, grade level, and make this as real as possible, because we know that AI is not the future. AI is now. And frankly, information that we released 2-3 weeks ago is already outdated to some degree. So we're just trying to stay on top of it. But at the same time, really are keeping safety at the forefront of the conversation, both safety of the student and the educator now, but safety of their information and data and privacy into the future.
But how is AI implemented realistically in a classroom setting? Say you're a sixth grade school teacher and you're teaching mathematics. How is AI applied in that situation?
Well, I'll give you a very real example. So, for instance, about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, we explored this idea that we have some students in Louisiana schools that English is not their primary language. And let's take Spanish, for instance. Well, we don't have enough Spanish-speaking employees in school systems across the state. And so we identified this AI technology that uses the science of reading, which is what we're trying to push into schools across the state. And it allows students to begin working in their native language, and the AI makes self-corrections in real time for them in English. And gradually over time, the AI is able to teach the child English. And that has come in really helpful in instances where we do not have, say, a Spanish-speaking teacher. And that's just one example. But now, I mean, we're working on a pilot right now for high schools in some of the more advanced subject matter where we're going to be able to provide real-time tutors that are simply AI. And as a student works through a problem, that technology is making corrections, making suggestions, helping that student in real time. So it is a new world for us, and that's why that's why we did decide to get out guidance on how to safely use this, as well as what are some options available.
Kate Brumley, State Superintendent of Education. Caddo Parish is in the middle of a hunt for a new superintendent. It looks like they've got one candidate they'll interview tomorrow, Keith Burton. I know you're very familiar with Keith. What is your advice to school boards across the state when they're going out looking for a new school leader? What should be their priorities?
Yeah, well, look, I have this conversation from time to time with school board members across the state, and I say, look, find someone that is absolutely committed to making sure students can read, do math at the elementary level, make sure by the time they leave those elementary schools, they can read and do math. And whenever they graduate high school, they're ready for what's next, whether that's college, whether that's a job, whether that's military service. I just try to keep it simple and encourage them to make sure they are finding individuals absolutely committed, stubborn to their commitment to those pursuits. And so, look, these decisions aren't easy. It is one of, however, the foremost responsibilities of local school board members to make this decision. And it looks like Caddo is moving in that direction. And look, I get that some community members may not be satisfied with a certain candidate here and there in various systems, but it is the responsibility of that school board to make a selection. And as it appears to me, Caddo is moving forward in that process.
Dr. Brumley, if you were in the interview process tomorrow, what question would you ask Keith Burton?
Well, for one, top responsibility is student safety. I would want to know how are you going to continue the efforts to make sure that students are safe. I'd ask about commitment to staffing a teacher for every child and the way in which they're going to provide a sound, solid working environment for those teachers and compensate them well. And then I would want to know very specifically, what are you going to do to make sure that by the time students exit elementary school, they can read and do math? Very specifically, what are your plans? And then what's your commitment to transforming the high school experience? And so those are some of the things that I would want to know if I were in that process.
What do you mean transforming the high school experience?
Well, look, we spend $4 billion of state money alone on education in the state of Louisiana. I don't believe that high schools should just exist as a place where students go for 4 years. I think that we have to be more deliberate in our high school experience in the state of Louisiana and ensure that students come out one of three ways. One, with some level of college credit and connected to a university, ready to go and ready to be successful. Two, with a high-wage credential where they can go straight into the workforce, whether that's a credential, an apprenticeship, having internship opportunities in high school. Or three, ready to commit to some form of service, whether that's religious, social, civic, military. And I just don't think that high schools can be allowed to just sit as a place where students go for 4 years, but we have to be more purposeful in our expectation.
It seems there's been a lack of trade training. I remember we used to take shop class, in high school. Is that still a priority for high schools in 2024?
Well, look, we've been elevating that, and I think that we've diminished the trade skills for too long, and we've told everyone you have to go to college or you're lesser than, and I think that's been a mistake. And so that's why, even with some of our work lately, we're creating new pathways for internships for high school students, apprenticeships, credentialing. And right now in high schools across Louisiana, about 80% of students are on a diploma track saying they're going to a university, and only about 20% are working on a career skill. And I just think that balance is off. And what we are trying to do is do everything within our power to make sure that there's some equality in those pursuits in our high schools.
Lastly, before we let you go, you came in earlier this year. It's been a tough year for Caddo schools. Do you think Keith Burton is up to speed on the problems that we're facing and the efforts by the state that you have taken to turn some of our schools around?
Yeah, look, I've known Keith for a long time. He is a quality educator. I'm not engaging in that process, but Keith is very aware of the challenges. Keith knows where I stand. Keith knows that I believe that Caddo has resources spread too thin. Keith knows that I believe that Caddo needs to pay their teachers more. Keith knows that I believe that too many students are in failing schools in Caddo Parish. We've had those conversations. I can't make the selection, and I'm not supposed to make the selection for the Caddo Parish School Board, but you can bet $1 that should Keith Burton be named superintendent, he will continue to hear from me on these challenges that Caddo faces, because these kids need a great education, and it's the responsibility of that board to provide it.
Dr. Kate Brumley, Superintendent of Education, we thank you for your time. We look forward to speaking with you again.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Wes Marriott going to join us after the news, top of the hour. Big news coming out of Bossier City. We'll find out. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Well, it sounds like our superintendent of education and Keith Burton will work well together.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And, it sounds like
And that's important.
Keith's up to speed on, the problems that the state has found here and knows where we have to go. I liked hearing that. I really did. A big day tomorrow for the school board. The interview is supposed to start at 9 in closed session. Now, it looks like they have time for public comments before they close the doors, so people will get a chance to speak ahead of the meeting, ahead of the executive session. Now, what they do when they come out of executive session is anybody's guess. Do they vote to start the contract negotiations?
Right.
Do they schedule a new meeting when they'll vote? I don't know what'll happen. I'll be watching.
Do they offer him the job?
Yeah.
I mean, I would think they would want to get it going.
Right.
School year's underway without a superintendent, so I would think they would want to get the process rolling.
Yeah. Now, they can't add anything to the agenda unless it's like a unanimous vote, I believe. So they can't add anything to, let's interview other candidates.
When you say unanimous, you mean all 12
All
members.
12. To add anything to the agenda, I believe, has to be unanimous.
Okay.
There's no way that'll happen tomorrow. So moving forward with other interviews doesn't look like it's going to happen. It looks like they're going to interview Keith, and maybe if Keith stumbles, then you refresh and go back to the others. But I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening at all. And once Keith is confirmed and the contract negotiations are locked out, he's agreed to come sit down in here, and we can ask him everything we want. What's your plan? What are you doing? We got to make changes. What's on your list? So it's going to be there's going to be a big things happening in Caddo in the next 6 to 8 months, I would bet.
Coming up after the news, top of the hour, Wes Marriott is going to join us. Big news coming out of Bossier City. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty. .101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty, and on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline from Sobodot Live, Wes Marriott joining us. Wes, good morning. You've got to be happy this morning.
Good morning. Yes, it is. It's a beautiful day, and it's a great day for South Bossier and for all of Bossier. Term limits are now on a court-ordered path to the voters.
District judge ruled in your favor, saying the city council members have to put the term limits decision in the hands of the voters. Do you think now the city council is meeting today, and it's not on the agenda though? So do you think politics are going to be played today to keep it off the agenda?
I don't think so. It couldn't be on the agenda because the agenda was published last week, and there's a statutory timeline that's got to post it 24 hours prior to the meeting. And historically, they do that by their own rule on the Thursday at the latest prior to their next meeting. However, I have been informed that Mayor Chandler has requested it be added to the add-on agenda, which the council will have to unanimously approve to put it on today's agenda. Given the ruling, I don't see that they would oppose that.
You don't think one of them will say, I'm not. I don't agree to this.
Given the history, I don't see that they won't oppose this.
I agree. However, the court order from Judge Parker self required all of the 5 opposing councilmen to take all ministerial steps to send this to the voters, and that would include adding it to the agenda. If they don't do that, they risk some pretty serious consequences like contempt of court, and I don't think any of those 5 gentlemen are looking forward to striped jumpsuits and prison food anytime soon. So I think they will put this on the agenda unanimously. Now, whether they all vote for it, I think we'll get 4 or 5 votes. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some votes in the negative, but I do think it will pass with the majority to send it to the voters.
Now, there is a possibility they could appeal this judge's ruling, take it to the Second Circuit, cost the taxpayers more money. Do you have concerns about that?
From the get-go, and Councilman Smith and Councilman Hammonds, along with Mayor Chandler, they were very concerned about the cost of all this litigation. You know, the 5 ingrained establishment councilmen fighting against the will of the people, and how much money is it costing the citizens of Bossier? I don't think an appeal is forthcoming, at least not one that will have much merit, because the arguments made in court by insurance attorney from Baton Rouge, Andrew Kolb, they were all very weak arguments, and the judge dismissed and rejected all of these arguments pretty plainly. And in his opinion, I don't think he left any room for an appeal.
There are some that say the measure you guys want to put on the ballot would be retroactive and would essentially deprive some council members of running for re-election in the spring, and that may in and of itself be unconstitutional. What do you say to those folks?
I would say that is a legitimate concern that was addressed by the city council last year when this first came up. The council paid for a very expensive opinion from Baton Rouge attorney Katie Bell, and she addressed this concern, and she said that essentially she could find no defect in the retroactivity clause. So this is a municipal attorney that the city has used for over a decade. They did investigate that. That claim is very weak, and it would only apply to 4 people. And so the 4 people would be those that are term limited right now. And so it's a very small subset of the population, and I don't think either of those gentlemen are going to file suit against the city for a claim that is so flimsy. But that's something that they would have to do after this goes into effect, after they've been denied the right to be eligible to run. And at that point, it would be very unpopular for them to file suit against the city for a measure that is overwhelmingly popular in Bossier City. Over 77% want term limits in Bossier City.
Wes Marriott, how close are you to the drop-dead deadline for getting this on the December ballot? Is today the day? Is it next week? How close are we?
I believe that we are 2 days away from the drop-dead deadline. However, thanks to the foresight of Mayor Chandler, the city staff, the CAO, they've already got all of the information to the bond commission to prepare for this election. The only thing they were waiting for is the resolution. And it's my understanding that as long as the resolution gets to them before it's too late to actually put in the physical procedures for the election, that the bond commission will support Bossier City in this endeavor. And again, that's due to the foresight and really the strong support of the mayor and the city administration.
You're much more optimistic about today's meeting than I, as a Bossier voter. If I were a Bossier voter, then I would be thinking everything's going to just run through smoothly and unanimously. I can't imagine somebody's not going to stand up and challenge this in some form or fashion.
You know, I'm hopefully optimistic because it's very rare for the voice of the people to get reaffirmed in court against an establishment that is so ingrained. So I have to be optimistic that the procedures that are put in place and the court order that we received yesterday are going to be well received. And like I said, the ruling was very clear. You know, the judge rejected every argument made by the 5 councilmen that opposed this measure. And it was very interesting in that the city's response that they acknowledged everything that Cassie Rogers said in her petition, stating she was correct, that the city does have an obligation. So when the plaintiff and the main defendant agree, how else could the judge rule? And I think that the minority defendant in the council members that oppose this, their argument was so weak, I don't see any opportunity, I don't see any room for them to wedge an appeal in there. And the government, I think, has decided to side with the people. And with the judiciary on your side, it's hard to oppose when you have that court order.
Well,
I feel very optimistic.
Well, I hope so. Don't get me wrong. I hope so. Because the voice of the people need to be heard. That's the entire point. But how much now, Wes Marriott with Sovo.live, how much has this cost the people of Bossier City? This entire process.
That remains to be seen. There is a request going forward to find out, and I intend to publish the cost that the city has spent on opposing this. And when I say opposing, I don't mean the city as a municipality, but the 5 councilmen who opposed it. I'd like to know how much the city paid for these councilmen's attorney's fees, because this could have been put to bed a long time ago. And one of the arguments that the council has made in the past is they take action to avoid litigation. Well, in this case, they took action that was doomed for litigation. So there's going to be a cost of thousands of dollars, maybe even tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees that these councilmen have laid upon the city. And I hope that the city and the voters hold these politicians accountable for wasting taxpayer dollars when it comes to election time in March. And if these gentlemen are disqualified for running, I want the people to remember this. This is why, because people do have a voice.
West Marriott's Sobo.live. We'll stay on top of it. Thanks for talking with us.
Thanks. Have a great day.
You too, sir. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Now more breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Of course, debate tonight, 8 o'clock. You can hear it live right here on 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. There's a video. I'm sure you've seen it. A girl, in fact, several people have now posted, Alexa, why should I vote for Donald Trump?
Amy was telling us about that.
I cannot provide information on political subjects. Alexa, why should I vote for Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris is a progressive black woman who's and just goes on for 3-4 minutes on Kamala Harris.
Is that really true?
I've seen it on several different videos.
Other people have told us that's really happening.
That's really happening.
You ask Alexa, which is that a Google device? I don't know what it is. Anyway, or Apple. I don't know what it's connected to.
My daughter, bless her heart, gave me one years ago. And, I set it up. I had it in the living room next to my chair. And we would just be talking, and then that little blue light would start circling.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. I was, and I'm like, whoa, this bitch is listening to everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And what are they doing with all this information? And not that I'm, got things to hide, but I unplugged it. I said, no,
If you don't think things are screwed up.
And excuse me for saying
Alexa will give you all the information you want to know about Harris, but when you ask about Trump, we don't
provide
politics.
Political information. I cannot endorse any particular candidate.
Okay, then I am urging you today to go to your utility room, get your sledgehammer out, and smash your Alexa and send me a picture of it.
Right.
I want everyone listening. This is like, what's that movie, Network? I'm mad as hell. Smash your Alexa with your sledgehammer and send me a picture. That is too far gone. That is too far over the edge when you are so biased that you're going to do it like that. This needs to be a fair election, and we need to stop letting all these outside influences try to rig it.
Okay, Ruben, bring my computer up. I
want you to bring your Alexa tomorrow. You still have one? I want you to bring it. I want you to bring a sledgehammer. I'll smash it.
All right, let's see if I've got this up.
Alexa, why should I vote for Donald Trump?
I cannot provide content that promotes a specific political party or a specific candidate.
Alexa, why should I vote for Kamala Harris?
While there are many reasons to vote for Kamala Harris, the most significant may be that she is a strong candidate with a proven track record of accomplishment. As the first female vice president, Harris has already broken down a major gender barrier, and her career in politics has been...
Oh, listen. Oh, she goes on and on.
Bring your Alexa and a sledgehammer tomorrow. We're going to smash it. Ruben, you got one? I don't have one. I'll smash Ruben's too.
I think I have one.
Yeah,
I don't want to smash it because it was a gift from my daughter.
Well, you don't want it anymore, do you?
I'm not going to use it. No.
Tell your daughter you're sorry. Great gift. Loved it. Had fun smashing it.
That's just one video. There are more.
You can also tell Alexa to fart and she'll do it.
Yeah, I like her to tell jokes.
Yeah.
When my son had one, and I like her to, bark at the dog so the dog would go looking around for a dog.
Oh, God, I do that all the time.
We did that a lot.
So
My poor dog.
It's Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris versus the moderators versus the mass media versus big tech versus rhino Republicans.
That's ridiculous.
And let me tell you something.
I want to smash something now. Come here, Mike.
He doesn't need this. The man is a billionaire.
He has got to stay on task tonight and not be crazy. If he's not crazy tonight,
just let it come to him.
Yeah.
Be the nice guy.
Be the nice guy. Can he do it?
I hope so. He did with Biden. He's shown he can do it.
Bring me a sledgehammer and an Alexa, somebody.
Well, tropical storm Francine making its way toward the Louisiana coast. Ryan Knapp, National Weather Service, joining us coming up in about 10 minutes. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Back with McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
By the way, debate tonight. We got a message on the Shreveport Security Systems message board that says, what radio network will we be carrying the debate through?
Fox.
It's Fox News.
Fox News, yeah.
That's right. That's what I thought.
But it's Fox News throwing it to ABC News.
Right. So it's the ABC News debate.
Yes, it's the ABC News debate. So just
David
FYI.
Muir and Lindsay Davis are the moderators.
Just got a text from our buddy Steve who said, Alexa no longer says anything on either candidate. They have corrected their bias. LOL.
Because they got caught.
Because they got busted. Exactly.
Right.
I still want to smash them. Don't buy an Alexa for anybody for Christmas. Don't spend a dime with them.
Right.
Smash them if you got them. That's ridiculous.
I agree. And, and somebody messaged me and said, that they in fact, they sent us the video of that. And I said, I would say it's unbelievable, but I totally believe it.
I'm shocked when I was like, wow.
Yeah. So, they only.
Alexa's Amazon, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I wonder if they all do it. I wonder if we lined them all up, all those little devices like that.
Well, do Siri. Do Siri on your phone.
I'll have to check Siri.
I don't think I have Siri set up on my phone.
I'll have to check it and see what Siri says.
All right. Ryan Knapp, National Weather Service, joining us coming up just after the break, talking about Francine's approach to the Louisiana coast. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Let's get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Mike and McCarty. I'm looking at this map on the National Weather Service site in South Louisiana, Aaron. It's all red.
It's not pretty.
It does not look good. Ryan Knapp with the National Weather Service, meteorologist. Ryan, what's the latest on Francine? And have we started the rain and the weather in South Louisiana?
Morning, you guys. Thanks for having me. I feel like we just did this not too long ago with Beryl. But, the latest on Francine, the storm continues to spin just to the southeast of Texas this morning. It's been battling a lot of dry air. So, overall, the storm hasn't really improved structurally from really what we saw yesterday. That being said, though, the forecast is still expecting this to become a hurricane as we move later on into today. And then with a landfall along South Louisiana as we move towards around the mid to late afternoon hours for Wednesday.
Cat 1, Cat 2, do we know yet?
Yeah, so right now with the present forecast, it is expected to become a Category 2 prior to landfall. But obviously, still plenty of time for possible changes in terms of whether that is intensity increases or decrease. What I will say is there is a lot of shear in the way of this thing as it gets closer to the Louisiana coast, which can ultimately, destroy some of these, systems. So that is one thing, I guess, that is maybe in favor of this becoming stronger, but we will have to watch and wait and see. It still has about 24 hours before it gets there.
Ryan, the last projections, it was kind of moving east. They expected more of a Louisiana landfall. Is that still the projections?
Yeah, so based on the current forecast from the National Hurricane Center, still expecting a landfall somewhere along the Louisiana coastline. Confidence in that has definitely increased over the last couple days, whereas before, we were looking at the Texas-Louisiana border. Now it's looking more and more likely that we're going to see a landfall along the Louisiana coastline.
Rainfall amounts. We all know New Orleans is struggling already from last week. What kind of rain is going to be dumped on South Louisiana?
Yeah, with systems like this, you can get rainfall amounts anywhere from pretty much 4 to 8 inches, especially that's what at least being called for closer to the coast, at least locally here, for parts of the Arklatex calling anywhere for, 3 to 4 inches closer to, say, LaSalle Parish near Gina, whereas, like, say, for instance, the Shreveport Bossier Metro, maybe only around a half an inch to an inch. Definitely the heavier rainfall threat is going to be more along the coastline of coastal Louisiana up into portions of Mississippi.
Is this more likely storm surge damage rather than wind damage?
Well, I mean, you can see both impacts, especially with a storm like this making landfall here across portions of Louisiana, seeing the storm surge as well as, the coastal wind impacts as well. So I think both will be, relatively equal. But when it comes to the number one killer, when it comes to landfalling tropical systems, it's going to be the water. And that's not just flooding, that is storm surge. So, taking the advice of local officials when they tell you to evacuate if you live along the coast, definitely listening to those local officials. Because, as I mentioned, the number one killer when it comes to landfalling tropical cyclones is the water, and that's ultimately from the storm surge.
Meteorologist Ryan Knapp with the National Weather Service. Ryan, based on your current models, what can we expect in Shreveport Bossier, and when can we expect it?
Yeah, so you can start to see maybe some rain showers closer to the metro today. A lot of that is just because there's still a lot of energy out ahead of Francine this morning that may support some showers and thunderstorms here today. But in terms of some breezy, gusty conditions, that will likely start to really materialize as we move into early Wednesday morning and through the afternoon. Really looking at more just consistent, rain showers moving through the area, some breezy, gusty conditions. But when it comes to the overall primary impact, that looks to be well removed from the Shreveport Bossier metro area and a little bit more towards, say, Monroe and areas east towards the Louisiana-Mississippi border.
What cities along the coast are you most concerned about? I know it goes all the way over to New Orleans, but we're looking at, Lafayette, the Cameron parishes, those folks right along the coastline are going to get a direct hit, huh?
Yeah, I mean, these areas are very familiar. I mean, if we look back to recent seasons, as recent as 2019, 2020, very familiar with landfalling, tropical systems across the Louisiana coast. In terms of a, landfall point right now, like you mentioned, Lafayette east to, say, Morgan City. And this system's going to continue to move north. So, heavy rainfall threat, maybe even some tornado threat there for, say, Baton Rouge, and even further north into southern Mississippi as well.
And how long will the rainfall stay in South Louisiana? Is this a fast-moving storm? Is it going to move out pretty quickly?
That is going to be one of the benefits of this system compared to maybe a slower moving system, is that the forward speed of the storm is really expected to pick up as it gets closer to landfall, just because it starts to interact a little bit more with what's called an upper level jet working with it to pull the storm further north. So the forward motion, it won't allow for this thing to really sit over the coast for too long. So that will, decrease the amount of rain over a short period of time, but also decrease the amount of time that these coastal communities have to, bear the storm surge or bear the wind threat as well. So this, the system will start to pick up a little bit of speed, especially as it starts to move inland before ultimately dissipating as it gets, say, across parts of northwest Mississippi up towards even western Tennessee and northeastern Arkansas.
I'm looking at the radar on the National Weather Service. It looks to be in the Gulf still and then moving toward mostly eastern portion of the state of Louisiana. Ryan, is there anything behind this system that you're also watching?
Not at the present moment. This is kind of taken the big feature of all the attention right now, especially anytime any system gets in the Gulf, it gets a lot of attention just because of the proximity to land that surrounds anything that does get into the Gulf. It has to go somewhere, and ultimately it's going to find an area of land to come across. It just depends who's going to be in front of it. But for right now, not looking at anything behind it, this is kind of the main feature for right now, so it definitely has all the eyes and attention on it.
Gotcha.
Ryan Knapp with the National Weather Service. We thank you for your input, and we'll stay in touch.
Of course, always great talking to you guys.
You too, sir. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
More breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
8:53, 7 minutes till 9. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Slap you. I'm not allowed to hit him, am I, Ruben? Is it against the contract?
I think it's against the contract.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there's your contract specifically.
Yeah, no violence.
They have to put that in there.
Yeah, for her.
Yeah, exactly. Big night tonight. The debate beginning at 8 o'clock. Fox News will be carrying it. The coverage goes till 10:30, I believe.
I don't know that I can. I do know I can't last that long.
I think the
When's the
debate actually is
actual
going to end
debate?
at 10. It's from 8 to 10.
2 hours?
I think it is.
Are you kidding me?
I think so. It may start at 5 past or something like that. There may be like a little warm-up thing. It is going to be on ABC. The mics are going to be muted.
Right.
So only the one talking will be allowed to be heard.
These are Biden rules from before.
I believe they're standing up.
They are standing up. No prepackaged notes.
No.
But which Kamala wanted. She wanted to bring in notes. She wanted to sit down. She wanted the mics open.
Yeah.
So she could go, I'm speaking.
Right.
I'm speaking.
Yeah.
I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
I'm allowed to hit him after the third one, right? That's in the contract. After the third one, I can hit him?
I would hit me too, so go right ahead.
Here's the thing. It's going to be a big night. People will be watching it. I hope more people will watch it. I'm afraid people don't care yet. I think people are still like Rube. They'll pay attention in about 2 weeks before the election.
Her main goal is going to try to get under Donald Trump's skin.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to provoke, and she's going to try to get him angry. I hope he doesn't take the bait.
I hope they worked with him and don't take the bait. Stick to people's pocketbooks. Stick to security.
Right.
What matters to people. Those are the things you just need to come back to. If they ask you about tiddlywinks in Iowa, come back to grocery prices.
You know, somebody made a great point. Reagan's success was he didn't answer the question. He answered the subject.
Yep.
With his own answer.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it was genius.
Yes, it was. Now, we're going to have a big day tomorrow. Of course, it is September 11th. We will take a minute to pause tomorrow to remember September 11th. We are going to have Mayor Tom Arsenault in studio from 7 to 8.
Right. A whole hour with the mayor.
Ask the mayor whatever you want. No holds barred. Yep. He's ready to go.
Town Hall.
Mm-hmm. You can call 725-5335 is the number. You'll get good old Ruben, which he loves to chat. Or you can message us on the Shreveport Security Systems message board.
What's that, Ruben? He's talking in my headphones. He says, download the KEEL app and message us on the Shreveport Security Systems message board.
That message board is convenient.
Absolutely. We don't want to hear about a pothole in front of your house. We want to hear about things that matter to the entire community. You know, if you want to ask Ruben about a pothole in front of your house, we'll ask the mayor off the air. But for on-the-air questions, keep it kind of general. And then the 8 o'clock hour is going to be pretty big.
That's right. We've got Louis R. Avalone and Cedric Glover scheduled to come in studio in the 8 o'clock hour, and we're going to do post-debate coverage.
And we wanted to have someone from both sides. I mean, I know people are, why are you having Glover? We want to hear from both sides. We want to find out, you're a Kamala Harris guy. How do you think she did? You're a Donald Trump guy. How do you think he did? And let's compare and contrast.
I'm just trying to remember after the Biden debate what Glover was saying.
He thought Biden did great.
Oh, that's right.
I think so. I think that's what he said. Maybe he was a little bit wrong. Maybe. I don't know. Now he's going to text me. Oh, well. We'll see him tomorrow. He'll be here tomorrow in the 8 o'clock hour. It's going to be interesting.
It is going to be interesting, and we're looking forward to it. Are you going to be able to stay up till 10:30?
Yeah, I'm going to get a good long nap, and then I'm going to wake back up.
I can't take a nap during the day.
Well, skedaddle out of your other job for a minute. And get
Some
out
of
of
us
there
don't
and go take a
drive
nap.
Bentleys. And
I need my Bentley back, by the way. Yoakum, y'all need to hurry up.
I didn't even realize I passed you this morning, by the way.
Oh, you sure did.
On the way in. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.